Hi, Andrew Dignam here from D&G Kelly Duncan, your local estate agents and auctioneers. Our services include property sales, valuations, property lettings and property management. Philip Kelly, our MD, and myself have almost 30 years local expertise and experience. Call us today on 057 93 250 50 or email us on info@dngkellyduncan.com, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you all for your continued business locally. Best wishes for 2021 and please stay safe and well.
Broadcasting live from the little town of Clara, County Offaly, it's What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Get in touch today through all our social channels and have your say. Oh, and thanks for listening. Now it's over to you, Lloyd. What's the story?
Hi everyone, you're very welcome back. It's What's the Story with myself, Lloyd Bracken here. Hope you're all having a good week and trying to stay positive during the restrictions. Hopefully they will ease soon and we can all get back to some sort of normality. I think the homeschooling here isn't going that great, but we're getting through it nonetheless, and we're all getting through it together. Thanks again for all the messages about the Michael Sheridan podcast last week. It was great to get all those memories and vivid memories of down to the town and all the different shops. Great to get that on tape, and that's there forever, thankfully. So thanks once again, Michael, for joining me here in Raheen. Also just want to mention the Midlands 103 Hero of the Week. Last week was our very own Brendan Clerkin, such a well-deserved award, and indeed Maeve Kelly contacted me here to pass on her gratitude for the great work he did treating her after a serious road collision back in 2016. So well done, Brendan Clerkin, well deserved. You got some nice gifts from Jerry Brown Jewellers in Portlaoise, and thank you very much to Midlands 103 for highlighting that as well. Also just want to say hi to all the Clara paramedics working hard and keeping us safe and doing that so well indeed. Right, on to this week's podcast. We're going around the world again, to 4 countries in fact: Finland, Abu Dhabi, USA and the UK. Hope you enjoyed. Up first is Jeff McCarthy. What's the story?
Alright, Lloyd, what's the crack?
Jeff, why Finland? That's what I want to know. Could you not pick anywhere warmer?
That's a good question, but I'll try to make it quick. But Mervyn Graham he was studying down in Carlow, and he met a Finnish girl there, Lena. Long story short, they were dating, and then she said to him, like, I got to go back to Finland now because my kind of time in Ireland was finished. You know, she had to finish her studies back in Finland, and he was just finishing up his last year in college. So he ended up getting a job in Finland working for Nokia, and I would come over and visit him every year. So from 1997 until 2004, I would come over for Christmas and come over for the summer holidays, you know. And then in 2004, then I moved here. So I've been here now 17 years, and he's since moved back to Ireland with his girlfriend. And
so that was great. So Jeff moves over. And then Mervyn said, well, Jeff's here now, I'm going to go back home.
He's trying to get rid of it.
So I suppose you were familiar with it then and all the times you were over there. So what dragged you to Finland then, I suppose, for want of a better term? Was it the beauty of the country, or what was it?
Well, you know, like, obviously coming from Clara, a small village, like, and then moving here, it's the second biggest city in Finland, but it's surrounded by 2 massive lakes, and then there's forest on either side. So you're less than 5 minutes from the lakes or from the forest. The climate here, you get like real seasons, you know. You get like solid winter where it's like minus 20 degrees and snow for a few months. You get like sometimes quite warm summers. You can get up to like 30 degrees, you know, if it's a good summer. And the lakes are like, you know, they're frozen solid in the winter, and they're, you know, good for swimming and all that in the summer. So it's like a different lifestyle, you know.
So you mentioned the city there, Jeff. What city are you living in?
It's a city called Tampere. So it's about 300,000 people, and it's increasing every day. Like, because I've been doing construction work since I came here, working as a kind of painting and plastering job. So when I came here, obviously, even now I can barely speak Finnish, and everyone's telling me, like, unless you speak Finnish, you're not going to find a job. So I was like, okay, well, if I need to stay here, I need to find a job somewhere. So I pretty much took out the phone book and the yellow pages and just started calling people. And then one guy said to me, we're short a few people, can you start tomorrow? So I showed up to this building site, hadn't a clue what I was doing. He handed me a paintbrush and said, start painting that wall. And, 16 years later, I'm still doing it.
So, Jeff, tell people that mightn't be aware, whereabouts in Clara did you move from?
Yeah, so I'm from Beachmount, so Kilcorsi there. And growing up there, like I was just thinking of some stories, and I think one of the earliest stories, I think it was about probably 3 or 4 years old, and Sid Mannering there, like Luke and Teddy Mannerings, their mother Jan had a kindergarten, a kind of a play school there where we would go. I think Robert Kelly and Keith Bracken and a few other lads in the town would go there. But on the way down to the playroom down the back, you had to pass by the greenhouse, and on top of the greenhouse wall there was mounted two horses' heads. Sid had Sid had a fascination for horses anyway. Like, but there's two horses' heads mounted on the wall, and of course in the greenhouse, the skin had dried out from the horse's head, and all the skin is peeling off, and then there's the big glass eyes. So it was pretty terrifying, like as a 4-year-old.
That's kind of a strange memory now, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously you went to school then in St. Francis. Any memories from there?
One funny one was we had a brother Marcellus and brother Baptist took a bunch of us to Wales on a school tour, and there was about 20 of us. We all pitched tents in a place called Clondudno or somewhere like that in Wales, in a farmer's field, and we went up to this like a toboggan. It's like this metal sled that you go down the mountainside. You push the lever forward to go fast, pull it back to slow down. So of course we were all like kind of mad kids, the whole lot of us. So down we went down this mountain, and of course there was a guy behind me. He wanted me to go faster, so of course I did. But as I went up the side of the slope, I thought I was going to fly off the thing, so I put my hand up to stop, and I slit my wrist.
Oh man!
So the blood is pouring out of my arm, and I'm trapping down the mountain. And I look back at the guy, and I'm just, I'm like, my arm, like, and he's like, rush, he's like, get down the mountain quick, I get down the bottom, and the guy looks at me and he's like, you've got another go. I'm like, look at my arm, the blood is pouring out of my arm. And then he's like, where's your family? I'm like, in Ireland. He's like, well, who are you with? And I look over at my brother Joe, and he's just pale, looking at me like, what the hell, And then finally the boys go and grab Marcellus and brother Baptist and take me to the hospital, and I get the stitches, But that was like, that was 1980, was it 85, 86 probably.
What was Brother Baptist like on the skis?
Oh, no, he didn't. The boys didn't bother,
So you mentioned the seasons there. How cold is it there at the moment? I know it's winter there.
Right now it's like -2, but about a week ago we had -24.
Okay. Had you ever seen one of your hobbies on Facebook? Is a strange one, throwing boiling water over your head.
Oh yeah. That's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've never got around to doing it. So I had the camera with me, and the girlfriend there, she was up for it, so we decided to try that, like, just to show how cold it was. But get a pot of boiling water and just throw it up in the air, and as soon as it hits the air, then it just kind of, I guess, whatever, it just crystallizes basically, turns to cloud. There's a kind of a thing over here, like it's like a ritual every day, like where the Finns do the sauna. So they go to the sauna all year round, like, spring, summer, autumn, winter. In the winter time when it's like -10 or 15 or 20, they put a hole in the ice, and they jump from the 100-degree sauna, they walk outside and jump into the lake, swim around for a minute or two and back out, and then they'll sit outside in the -20 degrees with nothing on but a pair of shorts and drink beer.
So I gather that the Finnish are as mad as the Irish then, are they?
Just as mad, yeah.
I know from your sister Tara, she's involved in the heritage group. She gives me a great hand here. She's a good eye for photography. The same as yourself. Is Finland a photographer's paradise?
It's definitely, like, it's got a lot of nature. They're big into nature, and I've spent a few years now taking pictures over here as well. Like, and there was one funny instance when I left my house, going to work one morning, and I came face to face with a moose, and I stopped the bike, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and thinking, what's going to happen next? But thankfully, he took a fit of running, and he ran through a load of bushes. But the other side of the bushes, of course, there was a apartment block, and he went headlong into the building. It was such a mighty thump, And then he stood there, kind of staggered for a bit, I suppose, and then he sauntered off into the forest.
That's the dangers of photography in Finland. Of course, you're also, running is a big part of your life too, Jeff. Yeah. What's it like running in -20?
Well, again, it's all about the right clothes. I have spikes on, and I have 3 or 4 layers and all, so it keeps you warm. You'd actually end up sweating outside. But since coming to Finland, like I said to myself, like, I have to get myself fit, and I started signing up for marathons, and one thing led to another, and then you're doing triathlons. And
so major preparation for a triathlon. How did it go for you?
Yeah, it went well actually. Last year, 2019, I qualified for the World Championships in San Marino in Slovakia, but unfortunately it was cancelled due to the coronavirus.
So
So,
that's a major achievement, Jeff, to qualify for the World
well,
Championships.
yeah, I got it like to have because of the age grouping, So obviously I'm over 40 now, so I'm in the 40 to 45 age group. They have these races all over the world, and the top whatever, say 10 or 15 from each age group qualify for the World Championships. So
Okay, so will you get?
but
Will
it's
they come back? Will you get to compete in that? Do you think when COVID is
well,
eased?
I got another invite this year. Basically, they said that because it was cancelled last year, they said you can, there's a chance to go this year. So I have until the end of this month now to decide if I want to pay for it and go, because of course there's a good chance it might not even go ahead.
Yeah.
And then you're not guaranteed getting your hotel or your flights back and all that. So it's kind of it's a bit of a gamble, But
You're no stranger to the airwaves in Ireland too, I believe. You're the Finland correspondent for the Dermot and Dave show.
They were talking one day about Ireland, and they were saying about people growing up in the 80s and stuff. So I sent in a message saying, like, when we were kids, we used to go down to the local pond. I said it was like a scene from Indiana Jones, where you'd have to scale over the fences and the barbed wire, and then we'd have to cross the rusty bridge over the Brosna with no floor on it. And then, we'd be swimming around the synthetics factory there and climbing up onto the corrugated iron, galvanized roofs, And I said there was an urban legend then one day where one of the lads had jumped off and he hit the bottom of just there where the kind of sluice gates are. And what he thought was like a bunch of sticks. It ended up in the rib cage of a decomposed sheep or something, So I told him this story and they loved it, so they played it on the radio. And
They
ever
kind of put
since,
their own spin on it, didn't they?
they did, of course. Yeah, you had the music playing and everything in the background. So.
I'll try and did get out and try and get on the podcast. So, Jeff, what else do you miss about Clara apart from your family? What do you think of when you have the headphones on and you're painting for the 8 hours in Finland? What do you think about Clara?
Well, it's like, obviously I miss the friends and family, and I definitely miss the kind of the social aspect of it, because over here the Finns are very, very reserved, very quiet, they kind of keep to themselves. But whenever I go home, you can always pop down to someone's house, whether it's Harry's or well, it used to be Mervin's, so they moved to Longford, or out to Danny or the boys, or Paul Levine, go down to the pub, have a chat, have a laugh, watch the match.
Okay, what's the COVID situation like in Finland? Have they a better handle on it than some countries?
Yeah, it's pretty good here. I think it's probably one of the best in Europe. But again, Finns like the social distance. They have this thing called the Finnish Nightmares. It's a book where just these awkward situations for the Finns, like that. If you're leaving the apartment now and the Finnish person is in the next apartment to you, he hears you outside. He won't come out till you're gone. Right. Or if you're in an elevator, they'll walk 10 flights of stairs rather than share the elevator with you.
Sounds like paradise to me.
Yeah. So it works well when it comes to coronavirus and social distancing,
So you have to finish up. You have a lot of family still in Clara. You may give them a mention. Say hello to them.
Oh yeah, my mother there, and my sister, and of course Joe's up in Dublin. Hughie's there as well. Now he was in Canada for a few years, and I have a brother then in America. So we're all over the place there for a while.
They leave the last word to you in Finnish. Hopefully, we're going to test your Finnish skills.
Oh God!
And you're going to sign off on the podcast for us.
Okay, well I just keep this paljon and hyvää jatkopäivää.
Okay, that's that.
All right.
Jeff McCarthy, thanks a million for your time.
No, what a light, thank you.
Take care of yourself, bye-bye.
You too, bye-bye.
Great stuff there, Jeff McCarthy, all the way from Finland. Right, don't forget, next week we're back with Raheen Radio. I have a very special co-host in, be announced on Friday, the big announcement. And don't forget, it'll go something like this.
All the hits, one station.
Raheen FM. You can't beat a little jingle. Of course, it'll be all music from Clara artists that we have here in the vault in Raheen. Right, where to next? Joan Dunne Weir, what's the story?
Hi Lloyd, how are you?
I'm very good. Joanne, let's start off. Where in the world are you at the moment?
Right now, Lloyd, we are in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, and I'm going to ask a very typical Irish question. What's the weather like?
Okay, well, you're going to laugh because when we say this, everyone complains. It's winter right now, so it's about between 21 and 25 degrees. So we are finding it really cold. So in the evening times, we're wearing jumpers and I'm a teacher out here, so the children, they're still coming into school. They have their gloves and their scarves wrapped around them because they're coming from 40-degree heat in the summer. So when family come to visit at winter, they laugh. They think that we won't get into the beach, or that we won't get into the pool or go into the sea because it's just too cold for us.
So winter is like a record summer's day in Ireland then?
That's exactly it. I was walking across the street here with Alice, our little girl, the other day, and it was windy, and she said, "Mummy, did you grow up in a country this cold?" And I said, "Alice, I grew up in a country much, much colder than this." They don't get it.
Has the kids ever been to Ireland, Joanne?
Yeah, so we come home every single summer. Like, we moved out here in 2013. So I'm looking, it's only, a 7.5-hour flight. So we come home every summer, and we would come home a lot of Christmases. But sadly, because of COVID, now we haven't been home since summer 2019. So the kids are missing seeing Ireland and seeing the family and the grandparents and all the cousins. But I mean, they know Ireland very well and they love it, and they're extremely proud of their Irish roots, Lloyd, and they'll tell us that too.
Very good. So tell everyone, Joanne, who mightn't be familiar with you, whereabouts in Clara did you move from and where do you come back?
Okay, so I'm from Collinstown in Clara, and obviously I'm married to Jean, and he's from Auchamore in Clara, and we lived in Tullamore before we moved out here, and whenever we come back to Ireland, that's where we'll be settling, somewhere between Auchamore and Collinstown.
All right, so a little bit of a fight there whenever you do come back. Joanne, tell me, why the move then? Obviously, you're married to Jean. You say he's from Auchamore, up the road from us here where we're recording. So why the big move to Abu Dhabi?
Oh, it was 2013, and Ireland was in the recession. It's the same as everybody, Ireland was in a recession, and we thought, let's just go on this adventure, go somewhere that has some sunny weather and tax-free salaries, and we just did exactly that. And Lloyd, it was a 2-year plan. We had only ever planned to come out here for 2 years, but I suppose you get caught up in the system, don't you? I mean, our kids start at school, and then you've got your contracts out here every 2 years. We kept renewing contracts every 2 years, and sure, this is year 8 now. Before you know it, we've spent 8 years out here, and we had never planned it.
Okay, yeah, I speak to a lot of people on the XPAT podcast, and most of them have a 1-year plan or a 2-year plan, but they always seem to get a little bit of longevity, and it never ends up in the plan, does it?
I know. I think that's it. I suppose what's hard for us as well, our kids have started school out here, so and they're used to the schooling systems out here. So for us, it's about making the move home at the right time, And they're still both in primary school, so we are very aware of, whenever we do go home, it has to be right for them and right for their schooling.
Is it hard to keep in touch with the family, Joan? I know because Messenger is very hard to get through to people there, and WhatsApp and all that. So what's your go-to way of keeping in communication with home?
So, basically all our family have become tech savvy because, like you just found out, we can't use Messenger, we can't use WhatsApp. We can WhatsApp, but not for calls. So we use Zoom, and we use Microsoft Teams, we use Google Hangouts, Google Meet, and things like that. Just, various different platforms to have a little chat.
Is there an Irish community there, Joan?
In Abu Dhabi, there's a huge Irish community actually out here in all of the United Arab Emirates. When we were in Dubai, Tommy, he played for the Dubai Celts. It was like this GAA club. And now that we're in Abu Dhabi, because of COVID, all the sports have stopped pretty much for children under 12. So he's not really playing the GAA at the moment, but as soon as that starts up again, he'll be back in it. And there's lots of social events for Irish people. And there's on Facebook, there's lots of, the Irish in Abu Dhabi and the Irish in Dubai Facebook groups that we're members of as well. And there's lots and lots of Irish pubs.
Very good. So there's no getting away from it. Give me some of the must see and do things in Abu Dhabi. I mean, give us a feel for it if we can ever get released from Ireland again after COVID.
Oh, I know, yeah. Well, if you come here, I suppose you have to see Dubai as well. So in Dubai, you've got the Dubai Mall. It's a massive mall. I think it's the world's biggest mall. And you've got the Burj Khalifa, which is the world's tallest building. And Abu Dhabi's a little bit quieter. I suppose you've got Ferrari World. Our kids love that. It's like a theme park. It's got roller coasters. There's Warner Brothers. Again, these are just like, places for kids to go, and they're kind of like, Disneyland and all those places, just theme parks. There's water parks. There's Atlantic Water Park and there's Yaz Water World. And then places of culture, there's the Grand Mosque, which is absolutely beautiful in Abu Dhabi. There's plenty to see and do, and there's lots of nice beaches and hotels with swimming pools as well. So you'll be able to relax and keep yourself busy.
So, Joanne, what's Ferrari World like in comparison to Lions Carnival? You used to come to the Greenfield.
You know what? Like, I would love for that carnival to come back and for my kids to experience it.
I know.
So we loved it. It was fantastic. You couldn't beat that. It was brilliant. But Ferrari was a little bit faster now. I won't get up on any of the rides because I'm just too scared to catch. But the kids love it really. Yeah, it's like all these high rolling, fast roller coasters. You know yourself, right?
So you mentioned that you might come back to Ireland someday and settle. Is that a plan?
It's definitely, we will definitely come home. It's in the plan, of course it is for us, yeah, definitely. It's, like I said, it's just about figuring out the timing for the children. Maybe when Tommy's ready to move into secondary school might be a good time for him. And well, at the moment, of course, with COVID, it's not an option really. I don't know when it will be. But I mean, we sit and we talk about it every year, Lloyd, because we love Ireland. Home is where we want to be. See out our days there, hopefully.
Very good. So apart from family, you're sitting in the summer or the winter sun there, 21 to 24 degrees. What do you miss about Clara?
But when we go home during the summer, what we love is actually that the children get so involved in all the sports in Clara. And growing up, that was always something that was really strong in Clara. We've got football, GA and swim pools. And when we go home in the summer, our kids get involved in that. And I think last time we were home in 2019, I was sure Tommy and Alice took part in the Greenfield League, and it was lovely just for everyone to come together and just catch up with people. And you know what we miss as well? That sense of community, which is really, really strong in Clara. And anyone that's from Clara and has left will say the same thing. You just miss that sense of familiarity and the friendly people. Because when you're living out here in the big city, Lloyd, you don't really get to know that many people. Everyone's just so busy. It's like a rat race. So we definitely miss that sense of community and family and friends. And of course, we were lucky last time we were home in 2019. Shane Lowry had won, so we had a big day out as well. So we were really lucky that we'd experienced lots of those big events while we've been home for the summer.
That was unbelievable, wasn't it? That was something that hopefully we'll experience again. That was one for the books, wasn't it?
We will. I'm sure we will. And for our kids to experience that as well. It's absolutely amazing. And it's for a little small town like Clara that we're from, like, we're so lucky to be from there. For something like that to happen, it's just incredible, And I remember being home in that summer and been so, so thankful that we were there. And I felt so bad for people who, like us, live overseas, have that expat life and couldn't get back to experience it.
Joanne, tell me about I know you're obviously moved over yourself and Jean. What's your working life like there now?
We work hard. A lot of people think, wow, you're so lucky to live here. But to be fair, like absolutely everywhere in the world, Lloyd, you get up early, you work all day, and you come home and you're exhausted and sit in front of the TV. And that's actually our life every single weekday. And then we just, go out and do some family things at the weekend. But we have an early start. I mean, we're up, I suppose, at 6 a.m. Yeah, just before you rang me there, I was still on the laptop. So it's all go out here. Definitely you work hard for the money you make.
Okay, and lastly then, I know Jean is a bit shy to come on the podcast. So does Jean ever think in the hottest of summer days, geez, I'd love to be back home in the fields on the tractor and going around no more?
All the time, and he just doesn't think that on the hottest days. He says it all the time. Really, he misses that, and he misses that for the kids as well. And whenever we go home, it's the first thing to do. He puts on the wellies and they all walk down the farm there. It's something that he absolutely loves, Lloyd, and I know he can't wait to get back to it someday. Okay, Joan, so would you like to say hello to anybody back home? Yeah, definitely. I would love to say hello to my mum and dad, David and Madeline Dunne, and I'd love to say hello to my mother-in-law, Esther Weir, and just to then all our brothers and sisters and family and friends that are listening. We just, can't wait to see you all as soon as COVID goes away.
Joan Dunne Weir, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the podcast.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
A bit of winter sun in Abu Dhabi sounds good. What do you think, folks? Sorry there, and apologies about the line. Sometimes it was a little bit iffy, but we're doing our best here. So where to next? Patricia Cantwell, what's the story?
What's the story? Everything's good, thank God.
If I called you Tricia Robbins now, how would that go?
Perfectly fine. That's what I was reared with.
Tricia, tell everybody where in the world you are right now.
Well, at the minute, I am in a little town called Hampton Bays in Long Island on New York, and it's a little bit like Tullamore, not much bigger, but we have the ocean about 15 minutes away, so nice spot.
Okay, and you're saying the sun, is the sun shining there? Is there any snow?
No snow. I'm sitting in the living room. The sun is shining in, but it's below freezing outside, so very deceptive.
Tricia, how long have you been in the USA for now?
We were only talking about this here the other day. I'm 7 years married, 7 years married in May. So I'm here nearly 10, I suppose. Yeah.
Right, okay. And why the move, Tricia?
Sure, I followed a man, Lloyd. What else? Jesus.
Well, tell us about that man, because there is a pub, a certain famous pub in the Hamptons there that called Buckley's that a lot of people will be familiar with back here. You have the connection to that pub now.
I do. That would have been Buckley's in Southampton, which was a great spot. When Roger used to live here, Roger Robbins and Liz Fleming used to live here, and I used to come to them on holidays. And Buckley's in Southampton was the spot, and sure, nearly half of Clara lived here at that stage. Good few of them have gone back, but it was a great little spot, and then he opened in Santa Mauritius, and then he opened in Hampton Bays. And now we just have Buckley's in Santa Mauritius, which is enough.
Okay, so what's it like there now with COVID, Tricia? Obviously, are the pubs still open there?
We were closed. They closed us down just before St. Patrick's Day, and then they reopened us up in maybe the end of June, and we're open ever since, but restrictions, half capacity, so they're fairly strict. We have people going around that check that people are wearing masks and that there's distance in between and all the rest of it. But it's as bad as there, only that we're not shut down totally like you are. We can still make a living.
Talk to me about the Irish community there. I know I was talking to Kate Tierney there a while back. So the Irish community is not that big there anymore, but there is some still.
It's not as big. Kate is actually my hairdresser, so I see Kate at least once a month.
So you're still shopping local, are you?
Still shopping local. And Nicola works where Kate works, so I see Nicola. And there's a good few still friends with Jimmy, like there's Mick Shields and Kevin Brannigan and Fergus. Like they're not from Clara, but they're all Irish. So there is still a good Irish community which we are still in contact with, which is great.
Yeah. How would you compare life there to life in Clara? That may be a difficult question, but
the same, pretty much. You still get up in the morning, you still go to work, you still have your bills. It's nice here. We're very, very lucky in our location that where we are, and I'm very lucky that we have a nice home and my kids can come and visit, and we've room to put them up, and they love it here. And I love getting home. I love getting home to Kilmucklen. Like as I said, I was a culshie all my life, not really a townie. Myself and the Cullens and the Flatteries and the Holmeses landed in on a Sunday on our bikes, ourselves now. So we were, and then of course I went to secondary school in Tullamore. So
right, you went to the posh school then in Tullamore, did?
Yeah, right, whatever. It was still secondary school.
So you mentioned your kids there. You're quite an unusual story, because a lot of people's kids would emigrate and leave mammy behind. But your kids are in Ireland here, and you're over there in America.
Yeah, Granny went on tour and left all the grandkids and children in Clara and Kilkenny. Yeah. But thank God they're of the ages where, like, I think Laura was something like 29, maybe 27, 28 when I left. So they were all doing their own thing and had their lives, and it's not like I was leaving teenagers, and they were all very much for me to get up and get out and move. And I still have my house in Kilmucklin. I know it's rented, but and it's still, I still get home a lot. I can go whenever I please, so I suppose I'm at a very good place in my life where they can come visit. I can go home. Not so much now with COVID. I can go home. They can't come. I had nobody last summer, which was very unusual. So.
Was it strange at the time, Tricia, when you made that decision, or?
Of course it was. And we were building Buckley's in Senna Mauritius. It had burnt down, so we were rebuilding Buckley's in Senna Mauritius. And I met a lovely lady called Kathleen, who more or less adopted me and took me under her wing and introduced me to a lot of people in Senna Mauritius. And then in Hampton Bays, I met a lovely friend called Betty O'Gara, whose Irish background through her husband, and she introduced me to a lot of friends here. So I was extremely lucky. Well, it was like kind of marrying the mayor as well, because Jim Cantwell just is known by everybody. So Jimmy used to say to me, now, if I don't introduce you within the first 10 seconds, will you introduce yourself, because I can't think of their name? And I'm going, right, Jimmy, not happening. And it's still the same today. We still meet people that Jimmy goes, oh God, I can't think of his name. So some things haven't changed. But I was very lucky that Jimmy was, and of course he has 3 children here who were young at the time. They went from 13, Neve was 13 to 16, maybe to 18. So technically I have 6 children and 8 grandchildren.
Okay, very good. So a busy house there as well then.
Busy house here as well then with grandchildren. Now they've all moved on and moved out as well, since they were all living here when I got here. So I kind of made the decision, when I'm here, I'm here, and when I'm there, I'm there. I can't be here wanting to be there, and I can't be there wanting to be here. So
okay, it's a good attitude. Now it sounds fair.
Yeah, and
have the best of both worlds.
It's worked, yeah, it has worked so well. So it's all good.
When was the last time you were back in Ireland then, Tricia?
I was back last August. I had a new grandchild there. Aisling and Jean had a little boy, Sam, and had to get my baby hugs. So went home, did the quarantine with Caroline, because she's an older boy. Kyle is 13 now, God. And stayed with her for 10 days, and then went up to Aisling for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Fantastic. A busy granny all around America and Ireland.
Busy granny, but loving every minute of it. And hopefully things will get a little bit better, that I'll be able to see them all this summer, that they'll be able to get over. And, they love coming over. And of course, they sit down and I serve them hand and foot, breakfast, dinner and lunch, yourself. So you have to get your mammy duties in as well as granny duties. Right. So it's all good.
Do you think there'll ever come a time that you would move back to Ireland permanently?
I would never say never.
That's quick.
I'd never say never. Like, you don't, you never know. We'll see how things go. I don't know if Jim would. He's here, like Jimmy's longer here than he was ever in Ireland. He's 30, nearly 5 years here.
Okay, so where did Jimmy grow up then in Ireland?
He grew up in Kilkenny, on the Kilkenny-Waterford border. But he left home when he was 18 or 19. He did a whole Europe thing. He was in Holland and all of that sort of thing before. He followed a friend here thinking he was just coming for the summer, and then really never went back. Right. And he has a brother here as well, Lynn. And then he has a sister and a brother at home in Ireland. Yes. So
you both have Kilkenny connections now with your daughter Caroline down there.
With Caroline there, yes. So and it's, you know what, I love Kilkenny. It's a great spot.
So apart from family, Tricia, what are some things you think about and miss from Clara?
I probably miss the farm. I miss the country. I miss I was very lucky. I lived in a lovely spot in Kilmucklin with the river beside me and the mount and Ned's Hill and lovely walks. And, I miss the country. Like, you could drive for hours here and you wouldn't see a cow. And there's no, it's very flat. There's no hills, So I kind of missed the countryside. You have to travel a good bit to try get any sort of a hilly countryside around here. So, and, just missed the normal things of going down for a local drink. Of course, everybody misses Carey's, it's not there anymore. And such great memories from there. And, there's missed my local friends there. But keep in contact. I was only talking to Jan Ann the other day, and Debbie, so we keep in contact. Jacinta Fitzpatrick just rang me there over Christmas, so, and anytime I get home, I try to meet up. I've Clara friends, Tullamore friends. You try and meet up as best you can with people, and then there's family. So, yeah, it's all,
God,
just
Tricia,
be all busy.
there's no keeping up with you. I tell you what we're going to do, Tricia. We normally do a quick fire round on each podcast, so I've nominated you to do this quick fire round.
Oh, great. Okay.
So quick as you like, no stalling. Here we go. Tricia Robbins, what actress would play you in a movie?
Bette Midler.
First thing you'd buy if you won the lotto?
What do you call them? RVs?
Okay, best thing.
Yeah,
Best thing about Clara?
Community.
First car you ever bought?
Toyota Carina.
First movie you've ever seen?
Grease.
Your favourite song?
You'll Never Walk Alone.
Trump or Biden?
Play the fifth.
What actor would play Jim in a movie?
Brendan O'Carroll.
Favourite country visited?
Italy.
A pint in Carey's or a pint in Buckley's?
Pint and Carey's every time.
Wins hands down, doesn't it? Tricia, would you like to say hello to anyone back here before we finish up?
Everybody, love them all, missed them all at different times, and thanks everybody for keeping in touch with me. I appreciate it, and friends and family forever.
Patricia Cantwell, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. The best of luck to yourself and Jim for the future.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Patricia Cantwell, or Tricia Robbins, as we all know her well here in Clara. Thank you very much for joining me. It's great chatting people around the world and seeing what they're getting up to. Right, where are we off to next? Our last person up is... Bill Fleming. What's the story?
Hello, Lloyd. How's things? Speaking to you here from me sitting room, which has become me office for the last 10 months.
Well, Bill, tell us, where is that sitting room? What part of the world?
It's in London, North London, near Finchley. I suppose the nearest football team to us would probably be Tottenham or Arsenal. I've been here since 1987, as you can tell by my English accent.
Bill, did you move there on your own? I know your wife Margaret is also a Clara lady. Did you emigrate together?
No, I came over first, and Margaret was very much a home bird, so we had a long distance relationship for a while, and then we decided like the best thing would be for her to come over. Fair play to her, she wasn't too long until she got a job, and she went out for her first time away from Clara. She went out looking for jobs, like she didn't sit around waiting for somebody to come to her. And she's doing well. She works in Tesco's now, and she's quite happy.
Brilliant. So, Bill, tell everybody where in Clara that you did you move from?
Well, I'm originally from the Green. My father was Matt Fleming. People might remember him from singing in bands and in musicals and things like that. He was a very good friend of your father's. They played out in Lourdes. Him and Damien Scally and your father. And my mother was Eileen Fleming. She was originally Eileen Flanagan from Raheen. And yeah, we grew up in a sort of corner of the Green there, where we great neighbours like Antoinette Colleran and Catch Buckley, Bertie McMahon, the Duffys, Carol Fagan and Tony. And then we had Sal Dunn, who was a great little woman. She looked after everybody. She was Ginger Dunn's wife, and great people.
So give us some of your memories then from Clara growing up, Bill.
Well, growing up in Clara, my cousin Jared Dunn, me and him hung around together all the time when we were younger, and I was in his house more than I was in my own house, I think. And I heard Frank Ferry last week saying about all the amenities they had in Marion Square. Well, we had Chapel Hill, the Green Field, and the railway, the old railway, where we were always out there. We didn't have a pond, but we went up there during the summer as well. But yeah, it was great times growing up in Clara. It's a great town.
So, Bill, why the move then across the water?
Well, I was working in the factory, and in 1987 they made quite a few redundancies, and I was one of the ones made redundant. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of work around. So my sister had moved over in September. My mother said, "Why don't you go over and give it a chance? See what it's like. Sure, if you don't like it, you can always come back." And I was only over a week, and I got a job working for William Hill, and I worked for them for 20 years. And then I decided I needed a change, so I complete change, and I started working in construction with a company called John Murphy and Sons Limited, which is an Irish company over here. They do a lot of utilities and pipelines, things like that, more than construction, really. We've had a few Clara people that's worked for them in the past, like Paul Kennedy from Marion Square. He worked for them, and another man that's a regular on your show, PJ Rickard. Right. PJ worked for a summer with them at one stage back in the 80s, he was telling me before.
So, like, was it a huge move, Bill, at the time in 1987 to go across to England, or were you kind of feeling, right, I'll give this a chance, or was there a chance that you said, I'm not going to stay here?
Oh yeah, there was. There was a great chance, and I do remember at the time, there was a couple of lads over here that I met. Justin O'Mara, the Lord of Mercy, Justin was here, and Robert Dunn. I remember the two lads were there, and another fellow, Vincent Mannion. Vincent was here, and all the lads went back. I don't know how long they stayed, but they did go back, But no, once I started working, and I got used to it, and I liked living in the city. A big change from Clara, obviously. Everywhere was open early. You didn't have to wait till 10 o'clock in the morning to get a pint in it.
10 o'clock is early enough as well.
Yeah. But no, then I got involved in the Offaly Association, which was good. Like, there was some Clara people on there, Loretta Dunning, Loretta Gorry, with Sean Devery. He was married to Kathleen Dunn from Church Street. Sean was a pulling man. He died a couple of years ago. I had mercy on him as well. And then Kevin Kelly. Kevin was absolutely fantastic. Like the amount of work Kevin did for homeless people and things like that. Like stories of him going out in the cold and bringing out sandwiches and soup and that to the homeless people. Like, it was, he was a fantastic person, and he's sorely missed. Like, he ran the GA club in Ruislip, right. And anytime Offaly was over, Kevin always looked after everybody. He was a fantastic person.
I met him there myself a few times, actually. I did a few gigs in Ruislip years ago.
Anytime Offaly was over, myself and Maggie headed down to Ruislip. As far back as I remember, Brendan Lowry actually playing for Offaly in goal. That's going back a good few years. He was at the twilight of his career, and he played in goal, and I think he saved 2 penalties that day.
Very good. Of course, Bill, you're a big sports fan, aren't you? You're a big Leeds man. How did that come about?
Oh, well, that I could have been Arsenal, because I remember how I started following Leeds was it was the first cup final I ever watched was 1972, and Arsenal played Leeds, and my father asked me who did I want, and I said I'd go for the Whites. And I think if Arsenal had won, I would have said, oh no, I wanted the Reds. But no, that was it. That's how I came. And there was a few people at the time that was supporting Leeds, like the aforementioned Ger Dunn and Scutchy Rickard. Scutchy was a Leeds fan. He's a Man United fan now. But Scutchy changed the year after when some little team called Sunderland beat Leeds in the cup final. Scutchy decided to go to Man United.
I'm editing that bit out now.
That was a fantastic match. I always remember watching it. We watched it in Sal Dunn's house. There was Mickey Rickard and Christy Rickard, and we're all in there, like, because they had a colour television.
Of course, you're a big golf fan as well, Bill, aren't you?
Oh, I love playing golf. Yeah, I've been a member of a club called North Middlesex for nearly 20 years. It's a great place, great social life. There's no snobbery about it at all. It's like going into Carey's sometimes if you go into the bar. It's got a great Irish connection, and it's a couple of connections with Clara, actually.
Oh.
There was a man, Dennis Brosnan. Dennis died a few years ago, but he came up to me one day and he said, Bill, he says, are you from Clara? And I said, I am, Dennis. He said, do you happen to know a fella called Dean Dunn? I said, of course I do. Sure, I grew up next door to Dean. He said, Dean is my wife's nephew.
Wow.
And I said, well, so he came back from Ireland in a while after that, and he had photographs. He was after taking photographs of '92 because he went down to visit Tony and Carol in '93, and he took a few photographs. And then there's another man, Tommy Gavigan. He's from Rutherford Bridge, and he claims he's related to Brian Cowan. So
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he is.
Bill, in all your time over there, did you ever say to yourself, right, that's it, I have had enough of England and I want to come home?
No, I've never been. No, because I think it's because I've never been out of work. You know, I've always worked, and I went from William Hill to Murphy's. It was basically I took a week's holiday and I started. You know, William Hill were quite good with me because I should be given 3 months' notice to them, but they actually said to me, "No, we're okay. Give us a month's notice, and we'll be fine with that." So, you know, and I suppose when you're working, like, you just, you know, you're earning a few quid, so, you know, you'd have to drag yourself back to Ireland and try and find something. And like at the time that I would have thought of going back, it was the boom time, you know, when everything was going. And if I had, I would have probably ended up immigrating back again.
So, Bill, would you like to say hello to anybody back home in Clara that's listening this morning?
Oh, well, I'd like to say hello to all my family, Liz, Esther, Ned and his family, and Liz and Roger, I suppose, if I turned not forget Roger and the boys. And Amanda and the boys, and Ralph and his family in Ballycumber. And I'd also like to say hello to my sister Connie, her husband Paddy, and her daughter Alison, and her fella Tom in Barnet. And am I forgetting anybody, Lloyd?
No, I think you have them all there.
And of course, all my neighbours in the Green, Antoinette Colleran and Tricia Duffy and the Buckleys and them all. And of course, one person I'd really like to say hello to is Maureen Dunne in the Green. Maureen was great when my mother wasn't well. She looked after her really well. And of course, I better not say hello to my Auntie Josie and my Auntie Eileen for 17. Can I just say one more thing? I really enjoyed the ones where the young people who've left Clara. You know, it was great to hear about Paul and Breda Stewart's daughter, how well she's doing in America. So it's great to hear that all the youngsters that are going away are doing well.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bill. I love chatting people abroad and seeing how they're getting on and everything like that. It's really good to catch up and bring people together. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Bill. We're going to finish out the podcast with a song from your father. It's a great song. I love it. And we're going to let you introduce it for us.
Well, this was probably my father's favourite song. He sang it every time he got a chance. My father's version of the great Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Down by one side, I put into a ring of fire. I fell into the burning fire. I went down, and the flames went higher. And the burns were
Andrew Dignam here from D&G Kelly Duncan, your local estate agents and auctioneers. Our services include property sales, valuations, property lettings and property management. Philip Kelly, our MD, and myself have almost 30 years local expertise and experience. Call us today on 057 93 250 50 or email us on info@dngkellyduncan.com, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you all for your continued business locally. Best wishes for 2021 and please stay safe and well.
You just listened to What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Check out all our social channels for info on new episodes. Oh, and thanks for listening. On the Town.